Got a few pill bottles sitting around and thinking of tossing them? Don't do it just yet. Wait until you see what you can turn them into this Christmas. You'll never look at these little bottles the same again.
Hi, I'm Loli, and I'm so glad you are here.
For this project, I'll be using 3 pill bottles. I'm going to remove the cap and remove this mechanism of safety that it has so kids are not able to open the medicine bottles. And I did that with all 3 and then recap all 3 as well. Just be very careful here because it's easy for these to go flying. Once I had all 3 already taken care of, you're going to go ahead and reposition those caps. And then take some of these small ornaments that I got from Dollar Tree. We're going to be using 3 of those. And I've glued them to the top of each one of the pill bottles, making sure that the hanger section is up and centered. You just got to hold it there for a little while to make sure that they do not move around. Then I took some of this magnolia paint and spray painted them outside. And then I took some of this mineral color from Waverly, and I'm going to only paint the ball and the hanger section of these pieces. Once they dried, I took some of this burlap that I got from, actually I got this from my garage sale. I got a huge roll, like kind of the rolls you get at Johann Fabrics for $5, guys. Yes, so I have a lot of burlap. Anyway, I'm going to take one piece as you see there and fold it in half and then create a small hole there in the middle. And we're going to use that to just go ahead and wedge that to the top of the ornament there. Make sure you don't put your hole too big because you do not want to see that cover. So that's why I made it so small and wiggle it in there. Here I thought this was big enough to just fray and go ahead and with my next step, but it was just too big. Once I folded, it was looking like a sumo wrestler, and I was not going for no sumo wrestler here. So once I realized, look at this, no, it's too big. So I'm gonna go ahead and trim a piece off of each side. And once I was happy with that size, then I went over and I frayed my edges because I wanted this to have more of a rustic feel. My friend, if you're enjoying this video so far, please don't forget to hit that like button. And while you're there, please let me know in the comment section where are you watching from. I love to know how far my videos are reaching. Thank you so much. All right, now we're going to take a piece of twine and we're going to tie it here at the waist of this. I'm just going to go ahead and use a one-handed version here. What I'm doing is I'm holding the fabric taut towards the back so I have a nice cinch there. And then I'm putting my cord around it and tighten it up. Then I'm going to create a small little bow right there in the middle. I'm just going to adjust my tails to the size that I want my bow to be. And once I'm happy with the size of my bow, then I'm going to go ahead and trim off those little tails. And I did this with the other 2 pill bottles. Now we're going to go ahead and create some hangers. I'm taking a couple pieces, 3 pieces actually, of jute cord and folding it in the middle and putting that folded edge into that hole. I was having an issue doing that here, but I just took my little cricket pick and I just pulled that hook through. Then I put the 2 ends through that loop and pulled it until the hanger came off, as you see there. Then we're gonna go ahead and reposition that and do the same thing with the other 2 and knot them on the edge. Now we're gonna come in with some ribbon. This came from Dollar Tree. I just took a piece, as you see there, folding it on itself, took a piece of jute cord, and I cinched that ribbon in the middle to create a bow, and then tied my jute cord right there at the center. Here, as I'm cinching it, I'm being very careful that I do not make my bow all floppy. So just adjust your bow before you tie it. Then I just trimmed off the edges and I bent my bow kind of like in an upward position, as you see there, and then glued it in the back of my little pill bottle guy here. So as you can tell by now, probably these are little angels. They started at Mary and Joseph, or the 3 kings men, but then I decided, you know what, let's make them angels. Then I decided to do the same thing with this other ribbon from Dollar Tree. And for the 3rd one, I used this burlap ribbon that I got from, I got this from Michael's from my grab bag. And I did the same thing as I did with the other ones, but this one was not wired and I did not want to keep its form. So what I did is I took a little bit of hot glue, added it right there in the middle and mushed them together and held it there until the hot glue dried, and that solved that problem. Then I added hot glue, put it in the middle there, positioned my angel right there on the back, held it there until that one dried. Now it's time for some halos. So for the halos, I decided to use this wire. This is, I think it's floral wire from Dollar Tree. So for the first one here with the red bow, I decided to use this red one right here so everything will be nice and cohesive. So I took a nice length there. I will say it was probably 18 inches. And I'm going to wrap it on itself. And then I folded it in half one more time and wrap it on itself one more time. And at the end, I was left with a small eye hook. So I took my end on there and looped it through that little eye hook right here, and I adjusted it to the size that I wanted my halos to be. Once I was happy with that, I folded it on, and then I wrapped the remainder on the neck there where the ornament is and tighten it up, making sure that that stick portion or that part that's going to be sticking up was in the back of the head. And then once that was nice and tight, I'm just making sure that this is nice and center with my head. And then I put the piece of jute cord hanger through the halo and adjusted it until this came out so nice and cute. Look at that. And I repeated the same process with the other two as well. I used silver for the one that had the white and gold for the one with gold and burlap. And that is it. Let me know in the comment section, what do you think? Today's video is part of the Talented Creator collaboration that is hosted monthly by my friend Aurea from DIY with Aurea, myself Loli from Loli Days Creations. And this month we have the privilege of having the amazing May from Craft Away with May and the wonderful Cheryl from Farmhouse Frugally. The links to our channels and to their playlists will be linked in the description box below and also pinned in the comments. Make sure to head on over to the channels, the playlist, and show everyone some love. For this one, we'll be using this pill bottle. We're going to remove that cap and remove the mechanism. Here, Exhibit A, be careful with your eyes because these can go flying at any minute. Bam! I don't know where it is. I'll probably find it sometime when I'm cleaning. All right, so I'm going to take some of this fabric that I found at Dollar Tree. It's nice and fluffy, and I'm going to wrap it around my pill bottle. And to do that, I'm going to use some hot glue in different intervals, making sure to butt it very closely to the cap, but not to it quite yet. Once I went all the way around here, making sure the seams are tacked down properly, and then here I'm adding more hot glue on the body because I want to make sure that stays right in place. And then once they are united together, I'm going to go ahead and trim off the excess. And I'm doing this on the bottom as well, making sure that I leave very little in the bottom because I want to be able to have this pill bottle still sit properly. And here, be very careful. We're going to tack down that seam, but add the hot glue only to the back end so you have a nice seamless transition. Now we're going to take some of this macrame cord that we found at Dollar Tree. It comes in a bundle, not on that spindle like you see there. Mine just became very messy, so I just put it onto that. But I'm adding it right here to the first layer here on the cap of the pill bottle, and I'm just pretty much just buttoning them close to each other. And I did 15 row, a row of 15, I should say, doing this step. And this is what it's looking like. Now we're going to go ahead and come back with the second row, but I'll be adding the macrame cord in the middle of the two other ones, as you see right here, just kind of just filling in that gap. So I did that until I went over all of the 15 pieces. Are you enjoying the video? Please go ahead and hit the like button, subscribe, and hit the notification bell. Thank you so much. All right, so once I was done doing that, we're going to go ahead and unravel each one of the macrame pieces. This will become 3 pieces, and I did that to pretty much every single cord that we stuck into this. And it came out like this beautiful braid out. Look how cute that look. I love the texture. Then I took my heat tool there, and I'm just putting a hole in the middle of the cap there so I can create a hanger. I took a piece of the same macrame cord that I used for this, long enough to create a hanger. I'm going to fold it in half as you see there. Add a little bit of hot glue to the ends right here. Guys, here, please use your finger protectors. Don't be a hero. Don't try to be like me right here. I keep doing this. I don't know why I keep doing this to myself. Sometimes I feel it, sometimes I don't. But here I felt it. So, all right, so we're going to go ahead and feed that through that hole and create a knot on the other side. And this gives us the perfect little hanger. Now we're going to reposition that cap back onto the bottle. And it's time to embellish this more. To do that, I'm using this fabric that I found from Dollar Tree. First, I'm going to create a hem here using some hot glue. And I did it an amount that I thought will go all the way around that pill bottle cover. Now we're going to glue it onto our bottle right here, and we put in the hot glue right there, right above where the black fabric is, and we positioning that hem right onto it, making sure that it overlaps just a little bit. Then I'm measuring exactly how much I need to go around, and I'm going to cut off the excess fabric. And the checker pattern was so helpful in getting it to be cut in a straight line. Now we're going to go ahead and position this. But first, we're going to just start it right here so we know exactly where our fabric is going to hit as you get to that more irregular portion. Then I took this half bead that I got from Temu or Amazon, one of the two. I'm going to link it in my description box as well so you're able to purchase if you're interested. All right, so we're going to go ahead and add hot glue to that section, making sure that the fabric is falling nice and natural on top of our gnome face. We're going to add a little bit of hot glue to the nose as well, and then all the way around until we get right here to the other portion in the back. Now we're going to go ahead and trim some of this because the fabric was a little bit too long and you couldn't really use the hanger. So I trimmed that off, and then we're going to tack the end right here down as well. And that seam in between the two fabrics also, we're going to add a bit of hot glue going along the entire section, and using those checker marks again, we're going to try to do it as straight as possible to stick the fabric onto the same fabric. And then once that was done, I just scattered the edges of the fabric here at the top to create a beautiful little hat for him. And then I added a little bit of hot glue into that gathered area and pressed it down. So this stayed in place, and we have a nice, beautiful little gnome hat for us. Then I created some little legs and just took some of the macrame cord that I used previously and threaded on a variety of different beads that I had on my stash. Then I created a knot here in the bottom, make sure that it was nice and tight, and then frayed those edges to create a beautiful tassel. And I did this twice. Now we're going to go ahead and tack these two down to the bottom of our gnome. And I find that it was easiest doing this way, putting it downward as you see there. So I was able to measure that both legs would be even. So here you see me making sure that the beads are even. Then I put my macrame cord down. And once that dried, I just cut off my excess macrame cord with scissors, making sure that the cord is not on the edges of the pill bottle, so this little guy is still able to sit. And look how cute he's looking, but I wanted to give him a haircut. So I'm going to take my scissors and just angle it downward as you see there, and I'm going to just give him a nice trim on his beard. I wanted to have that arrowhead look instead of that straight look. So I did that on both sides to have it look so nice and cute. Let me know what you think about this one. Look how cute that's looking so far. But you're not ready. I'm not done yet. We needed to fix it a little bit more. So I didn't like the bottom undone like that. So I did a circle with the fabric we used for the hat and glued it right here to the bottom, and then give it a nice finished look. This is going to be for sale, so I want it to be beautiful and finished. Then here, when I put the little legs down, you can see the fabric drooping down. So make sure if you recreate this that you add some hot glue here as well to make sure that that also reinforces the legs. And this is so cute. Please let me know in the comments section, what do you think about this project? I absolutely love him. For this project, we'll be using a pill bottle, of course, these two fabrics from Dollar Tree, and some of these Halloween eyeballs. First, we're going to take this fabric from Dollar Tree and we are going to wrap our pill bottle with it. I'm just going to see exactly how much I'll need. and trim off the excess. Then I took the piece of fabric and we're going to glue it to the cap of our pill bottle, making sure that it's lined up nicely. And I'm adding some hot glue to the body as well. Once I know that everything is matching properly and is straight, I'm going to add hot glue to the different sections and roll my pill bottle, making sure again that the top section is nice and leveled. Then we're going to cut off the excess from the bottom. We're going to leave some of it though, because we do need to fold it later, but I had too much. And then with the remainder, I'm going to just create slits vertically, as you see there with small scissors. Added a little bit of hot glue to the pill bottle, and I just press down on the fabric so it will contour nicely to the curvature at the bottom of the pill bottle. Once we went all the way around, I'm going to take some hot glue and put it on the seam here to also position it in place. Now we're going to take some beads from Dollar Tree. I've got this from packs from the Christmas section. I'm taking some macrame cord and adding some hot glue to the end so I'm able to thread these into my beads. Another way you can do it is add a little bit of hot glue and put a little skewer at the end also, and that will help you also thread it. But I just did it this way and it worked just fine. All right, so I added 3 beads, I believe it was, no, I added first 6 beads. I went over afterwards and removed some of the beads, and I came in with this bigger bead that I have left over from, I think it was a garland at Dollar Tree, and I wanted this to be the feet of this that I'm creating. So I added a bigger bead at the end here, and a knot at the bottom, and then I cut off the tip here where the hot glue was, and I frayed that edge because I wanted to have this look like a beautiful tassel. Then I cut off the excess right here, and we're gonna do this twice. Then I did the same process, but just using 3 beads twice. Now we have these 2 pieces. We're gonna put this together. This one right here are gonna be little arms. So I added hot glue to the top section here at the edge of the pill bottle. And I just positioned the macrame cord into there, making sure that it was nicely fallen to the sides there. And I trimmed off the excess from the top. And then I did the same thing with the other piece right there, put it in front of that other macrame cord piece, making sure again that the beads from the right-hand side there are the same as the one on the left, and then glued it right down. Again, making sure that this is in the indented part of the pill bottle. Now we're going to take the bigger ones here and we're going to add them to the bottom. So I'm doing it here backwards, as you see there, just so I don't have the beads pulling on that. And then I did the same thing with the other one also, making sure here that my beads are even again. And then trimmed off the excess macrame cord from the bottom, making sure that the cord is not on the edges. So this one is able to sit flat. Now we took one of these eyeballs from Dollar Tree and I'm just hooking it onto my weeder here so I'm able to paint it. This just makes it a lot easier to paint it without getting it all over your fingers. I did about 3 or 4 coats of that. While that dried, I took some more macrame cord. We are going to take a section about 12 inches long, and I just unraveled one of the pieces off of the macrame cord. I want to create a hanger with this, but it was too thick the way that I had it with the 3. So now here I'm going to take my my heat tool. Here you can use your hot glue gun if you don't have one of these tools. If you're interested in getting one, I will link it in my description box below as well. But it just made it a lot easier to just use the heat tool here. And then I just added a little bit of hot glue to the edge of my macrame cord just to make it a little bit stiffer so I'm able to feed it through. I took a small skewer, put it into that little edge, and that made it so easy to just feed this through right here. And I did the same thing with the other side, making sure that I have a loop left behind right there. Then once these 2 pieces were on the side, I'm going to make sure that they're even in the edges. And then I created a knot here at the 2 tail section. And I opened up the hole of the bottom of that eyeball that I painted there. So I'm able to feed that knot into it. But just don't make it too big either, but just enough so you can feed it through. With my scissors here, being very careful. Don't be nervous. I was careful. This is sped up. I fed that through there, and now we have a beautiful hanger. And I took this piece of cork that I got left over from a bottle at Dollar Tree just to elevate this. Added some hot glue, glued it down, then I added hot glue to the top section of it also. Position this right here, and this is the head to my little guy. But we're not done yet. You know me already. We are going to create a hat for this as well. So I took this buffalo check ribbon, this buffalo check fabric from Dollar Tree, and we're going to cut a section that is big enough to go around his head. And we're going to go ahead and create a hem also. So I just added a little bit of hot glue on the edge here, having the checker pattern help me in seeing exactly that this is nice and straight. And we are going to now take this bottle cap that I had left over from another project, and I added a hole to the bottom of it. And this is so I'm able to put this in the top of my little head of this little guy here, and in order to feed my hanger through it as well. So I just fed my hanger through it, and it fit perfectly on his head. So once I did that, I added hot glue to the edges here and position him in place just to make sure that he always stays nice and leveled. So the fabric here was a little bit too big, so I just trimmed off a section off of it. Then I added a little bit of hot glue at the center here of the hat that we created, placed that fabric onto there, and then added it all the way around until the fabric was completely surrounding the bottle cap. Here, there was too much in the top. It just wasn't proportional with his head. So I trimmed off some excess here. And now I'm just going to add some hot glue to those edges here and gather them in the middle, making sure that our hanger is straight and all the edges are tacked down. Then I took a couple pieces of this fluffy fabric from Dollar Tree. I'm just going to cut a section that is big enough to go around its neck. And we're going to go ahead. Actually, we're going to start with the hat first. I glued that piece right here to the hat of it, going all the way around. Being careful not to add any hot glue to the fluffy section. And then when I got here to the back, I'm just going to tack it down, trim off the excess that I have left over. And again, being careful to add the hot glue only to the back end, and everything came out so cute. But I'm not done yet. We need to cover up the neck. So we're going to give it this fluffy, beautiful bufanda. What do you call it in English again? Scarf. Anyway, we're going to add the scarf right here, adding hot glue in different intervals as we go along and making sure that it's nicely covering that pill bottle section. And I did that all the way around. And here when I got to the end, I let it overlap just a little bit. And I just added the hot glue to the back end and tacked that down. And it was so seamless. You can even tell that those were two pieces. And now we're going to take some more of that buffalo check fabric and create a little bottom section at the bottom of this little guy. I'm going to glue both edges just so we have a nice seam on both sides, having the buffalo check pieces guide me so everything is nice and straight. And what I did to one side, I did to the other. And I glued it right there at the bottom of it. Look how cute. Now let's give it a face. I'm going to use these paint markers that I got from Walmart. They are from Apple Barrel. And I just created two small ovals in the front right here, making sure that it is centered with the front of him. Then a little dot for the nose and a little crooked smile. Some little eyebrows. Here I thought the eyeballs were a little bit too small, so I'm just expanding it. I always rather go smaller and then expand if I need to, because you can always do that. Now we're going to go ahead and do the little eyebrows. Two little eyebrows going sideways here. Now we're going to take the white paint marker from the same Apple Barrel and do two little dots inside of the eyeballs. Then I took these markers that I got from Ollie's. I'm going to add some of this pink one on my finger and put it on each cheek and then rub it in for a little blush. And that is it for this one. Let me know in the comment section, what do you think? You can put it on your tree or it's perfect as a shelf sitter. My friend, as always, thank you so much for watching. Be blessed, be a blessing, and craft responsibly. And if you enjoyed today's content, here is some more videos you are sure to enjoy. Thank you again so much for watching. You're amazing. Bye.